Okay, let's dive right into this. If you've ever felt like modern society is just fundamentally exhausting, this explainer is absolutely for you. Today, we're unpacking a highly conceptual, fascinating blueprint for an entirely new kind of civilization. We're looking at the foundational texts of the UUCGA. And here's the hook. The UUCGA does not begin by declaring a country. It begins by building a prototype of a new civilization. Instead of starting with land, laws, or governments, this source material suggests we've got to build this prototype from the inside out.
A true civilization does not begin with a border. It begins with a heartbeat. Think about that for a second. It's a striking quote that fundamentally challenges our traditional geopolitical definitions of a nation. We are so used to thinking of countries as lines on a map defended by flags and military power, right? But this vision neutrally asks us to step back and realize that before a new land can be formed, a new rhythm must be remembered. Before a new nation can rise, a new consciousness must awaken. So, to grasp this blueprint, here is our roadmap. First, beyond borders and flags. Then time, the new heartbeat. Next, the soul and the body awakening the Shakti player, bridges to the modern world, and finally, the final declaration. Jumping right into Section 1, Beyond Borders and Flags, Rethinking the Nation. The old world model dictates that building a nation means making legal declarations, drawing borders, and claiming physical territory. But the UUCGA blueprint takes a completely different strategic approach. According to the text, if you just start with legal claims and money, you're literally just copying the old world. Instead, they propose establishing a spiritual order, a rhythm of life, and a shared consciousness long before a single inch of land is claimed. This concept is what they call a civilization prototype. It's the spiritual, cultural, educational, and wellness architecture built first. Think of it like a giant puzzle where you're designing the entire culture and daily workflow of a company long before you ever sign a lease for the office space. Before a new world can be built, the human being has to return to natural time, inner sovereignty, and health. The text argues that the first territory isn't land, it's consciousness. Moving on to Section 2, Time, the new heartbeat, and the TunUc calendar. The source text argues a really profound point here. A people without its own time is inevitably trapped in the rhythm of another system. The text identifies our current baseline as artificial time. The exhausting, broken heartbeat of endless Q4 reports, stressful corporate deadlines, and mechanical clocks designed just for production. The proposed antidote? Natural time via the TunUc's 13-moon calendar. It's designed to realign human beings with the actual, restorative rhythms of the sun, the moon, and natural alignment points like high noon. So what exactly is the TunUc? Well, the text is very clear that it's not just a calendar you hang on your wall. The TunUc is the time. It is the literal time constitution of this proposed nation. It's the clockless heartbeat from which this new society breathes. The TunUc teaches the human being not to serve time as a source of relentless pressure, but to actually enter time as a restorative rhythm. Which brings us to Section 3, the soul and the body, the anatomical framework. Now, what's incredibly interesting here is how this proposed civilization operates exactly like a biological living organism. It's beautifully structured. The Kukulkan Codex is the soul. Longevity World is the physical body, where health and wellness are prioritized, and the media network is the voice. But it goes even deeper than that. Guardianship acts as the protection of the field, and the Anunnaki crown serves as the spiritual seal. It's a holistic system where every single piece has a vital role. Let's demystify that first organ, the Kukulkan Codex. The source material neutrally presents this not as a rigid doctrine or a forced religion, definitely not, but as a spiritual ground text. It's designed to provide the deeper meaning behind the civilization's focus on health, fitness, natural time, and community. Without this soul, the text argues, the entire project would just be a superficial wellness retreat. Next up, Section 4, Awakening the Shakti player, the citizens of the new world. The text draws a really stark contrast between two states of being. On one side, we have the NPC, the non-player character. This represents the exhausted citizen of the old system, constantly reacting, blindly consuming, and endlessly doom-scrolling late into the night just to survive. In contrast, we have the awakened Shakti player. This citizen takes conscious action and deep spiritual responsibility. The text states that this civilization is not built through fear, force, or domination, but through the awakening of every world citizen as a conscious Shakti player within what it calls the Maya love enlightenment game.
But look, even a community of awakened citizens will face conflict, right? The source text acknowledges this and proposes a system called Akashic Karma Mediation. This is their path of justice and restoration. Instead of a punitive legal system designed purely to punish, this framework prioritizes truth, healing, and the restoration of balance. It's a path explicitly designed to protect the vulnerable and restore trust within the community. Section 5, Bridges to the Modern World. Integrating the vision. How does this highly philosophical blueprint interact with the reality we're actually living in right now? Well, the source outlines a very specific manifestation timeline, prioritizing digital and community foundations way before any physical territory is claimed. It starts purely in concepts as a spiritual nation, evolves into a digital nation, gathers as an active community sharing practices, and then builds a corporate bridge. It's only after all of that foundational work that a physical campus, longevity world, is built, eventually leading to a spiritual municipality. The practical bridges take very specific, actionable forms. According to the blueprint, the Galaxy Academy is the education. The living agenda is the daily system, the community is the people, and finally, the Oasis Office is the bridge to the modern world, acting as a direct corporate wellness link into existing multinationals. Not by escaping society, but by transforming the systems from within. The strategy of the Oasis Office is a kind of stealth transformation. It isn't aggressively demanding that corporations convert to some new philosophy. Instead, it offers immense practical value, asking simply how to make human beings healthier, calmer, and more focused in the workplace. It bridges the gap by providing real-world solutions. And finally, Section 6, the final declaration, what we stand for. The text clarifies its ultimate purpose with this incredibly powerful distinction. This is not the escape from Earth. This is the return to conscious life on Earth. It explicitly states that this is not the end of the old world by destruction. Actually, scratch that. It's more like the birth of a new world through structure, vision, discipline, and deep remembrance. The source outlines exactly what this new civilization prototype stands for, and the strategic repetition here is basically a manifesto. UUCGA stands for the restoration of natural time. UUCGA stands for the healing of the human avatar. UUCGA stands for spiritual sovereignty. UUCGA stands for Mother Nature. UUCGA stands for conscious education. UUCGA stands for planetary responsibility. And ultimately, UUCGA stands for the awakening of humanity beyond fear, artificial time, and spiritual amnesia. Which brings us full circle, anchoring our entire explainer back to the central theme. The text states, the future does not begin with a border. It begins with a heartbeat. And as we've learned today, the heartbeat of the new civilization is the TunUc. It begins with time, it begins with health, and it begins with the awakening of the conscious citizen. It's a comprehensive, radically different way to look at how we organize human life, right? So I leave you with this final provocative question drawn directly from the text. As we look toward tomorrow, will the future of human civilization begin with a border, or will it begin with a heartbeat? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating architectural blueprint with me today. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.